So when we asked our next storyteller the best place to eat in New York City, she mentioned that there was this Vietnamese spot on 13th and University. The best thing that she ever got there was curry fish soup. It was awesome because you could feed 2 people for about $6. But right now, it's a dollar store, unfortunately. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Rebeca Vallejo.
So, I had mice in my apartment. And I thought that the best way to take care of this issue was the old-fashioned way, get a cat. At that time, I was also at that sweet spot in the lonely life of the struggling artist in New York City, when I thought that having the companionship of a cuddly pet will be more than welcome. So I started looking online through shelters. I'm a recycler. So I started looking online through shelters. But one day I came to work, and this co-worker was telling this crazy story that she was walking home, and all of a sudden, a car stopped right next to her, opened the door, and threw a kitten out of the car. And as she was telling the story, she was saying that she couldn't really keep the cat because she already had 2. I screamed from the other side of the room, "I'll take her!" I felt it was destiny. I mean, what are the odds? What a strange coincidence, right? So when I met my friend the next day, I saw that she had a really big carrier, and inside the carrier there was a full-grown cat. You know, head scratcher. I was like, this ain't no kitten. You know, like my little fantasy of like the cuddly little sweet little kitten gone. But anyways, it was too late to back up at this point. So I trusted destiny and I took the cat with me home. When I took her home and I opened the door of that carrier, that cat stormed out of it like there was nobody's business. Crawled herself into a corner and started hissing and showing her paws. I tried to pet her, but no way, Jose. So I thought, well, you know, the poor cat has just been thrown out of a car. I mean, maybe she needs a bit of an adjustment period, right? With a lot of effort, I put her back in the carrier and I took her down to the vet. It took 3 men with gloves to put her down so that they could run tests on her. So the vet gave me a free box of sedatives and told me to never, ever bring the cat back again without, giving her sedatives first. Well, days passed, weeks passed, and way past the adaptation period, the cat was a mess still. Wouldn't let me touch her, wouldn't let me pet her, and she developed a couple of very interesting habits that were like a thrill to my life. One was that she loved scratching leather, couches, boots, purses, you know what I'm talking about, right? And the other thing that became actually her little trademark was that she loved to throw on the floor everything from one of my desks. And it was the first desk that you will see when you open the door of the apartment. So if you can imagine being in a school, working 2 jobs, working on my second album, and coming back home after a 14-hour day to see everything on the floor, I was really losing it. That cat was really getting on my nerves, and I already had enough stress in my life as it was. So I started looking again through shelters to see if maybe I could exchange her for another cat that was a little better. You see, I'm a recycler, right? And in the bottom of my heart, I knew that nobody was going to adopt this cat. This cat was completely unadoptable, and I knew that if I would take her to a shelter, that would be the end of it. One day I came back home, one of these like long 14, 16-hour days. I came back home, and the cat was gone. I was like, Kika? Kikina? Where are you? I looked at the window of the kitchen, and the window was actually open, and the screen from the window was down. So in one of these crazy attacks that she had, she pushed herself through the window and ran through the fire escape. And you know what? I actually felt kind of relieved. And I said to myself, well, you know what? Serendipity brought her to my life in a very bizarre way. Maybe serendipity took her out of my life this way too. It was very late, so I decided to go to bed and take care of this the next morning. When I woke up the next morning, it was very quiet. I was like, oh, that's nice. That hasn't really happened much lately. And I looked through the window. I had a window right next to my bed. It was raining. And it was just not just raining, it was raining really heavily. And all of a sudden, this very surprising and overwhelming feeling of sadness started creeping inside of me from the bottom of my stomach to the top of my throat. And as I was looking through the window, like I was in like one of these like sappy romantic music videos, I was like looking through the window and thinking, where is my cat? Is she okay? Is she safe? Is she dry? It was really raining and I was really worried about the cat. And I was very surprised because I actually couldn't stand the freaking cat. But all of a sudden I realized that I actually had grown to love her. The days went by and I had all the symptoms of a heartbreak. I lost my appetite. I was like walking like a zombie, absent-minded. But you know, like in every breakup, you have to move on and carry on with your life. One day, I came back home, and the first thing that I saw when I opened the door was all the stuff from my desk on the floor. Kika, you're back! Oh my God, it's amazing. And what I wanted to squeeze her and hug her and tell her how much I loved her, that I realized that I loved her. And of course, as I tried to do that, she tried to scratch me. As usual, that cat. It's been 8 years since I have had Kika. And even though we still, fight some of the same battles, let me tell you that I still have to put leather things away because she still shares the same passion as me for leather. Right? I mean, we have really come to, a good and balanced tolerance about each other. And that only goes to show that although we think that love is a voluntary choice, sometimes we don't choose who we have to love.
I love that Kika was so incredibly violent that that even the fact that you were a recycler made it questionable about even having her in the house. I absolutely loved that detail. And the leather, oh my gosh, would you just tear up leather? I think I would go absolutely bonkers.
I did.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine. I can see her, growing on you. It's kind of weird how something that could be a little bit insane in your own house can actually grow on you. Yeah, sometimes kids too.
We'll see.
We shall see.